Our next speaker is Rowdy Rabouw. I actually saw his talk a couple months ago, 2 months ago, and I really liked it. So I was like, we have to get him for StripeCon. He's a senior developer, I think full stack, and I'll let him introduce himself. Okay. A round of applause, please.
Okay, thank you for having me. Let me introduce myself a little bit. As said, my name is Rowdy. I am a freelance web and app developer, but also work for a Dutch insurance company, Nationale Nederlanden, where I'm the lead developer of a iOS and Android app we developed there with something called NativeScript. That's a whole different story, but essentially building apps with front-end technology. You can find me on Twitter on @Rowdy Rabouw, and I love superhero movies. But that's quite obvious probably when you saw the slides on my t-shirt. If you're on Twitter, please, I need your help later on. I need you to tweet stuff to @browser APIs. I will mention that again, but please have your phone ready or your laptop. And as I said, I like superhero movies. Not every superhero movie. Fortunately, this one never came to life. Nicolas Cage being the new Superman. He did do some superhero movies, but that was Ghost Rider, and most of the time he was up in flames, so I say that's a win-win for everybody. And what I did is I tried to couple browser APIs to superheroes and their capabilities. So first let's go to one you probably know, but to get started. This is Professor X, and what does Professor X has? He has a device called Cerebro, and he can detect people. So, first API, of course, the Geolocation API. It can detect where your device is. It has to be in HTTPS, it has to be secure. It is quite simple to use. If you look at the lower right for you, you see browser support. In this case, it's supported everywhere, this API, so it's Chrome, Edge, Opera, Safari, Firefox, even good old Internet Explorer, and then Chrome on Android, Safari on iOS, and Samsung Internet on Android. So how do you get a position? How do you get the current position? It's easy to do with just one line of code, and after that you can detect what the latitude, the longitude is of that device, what the accuracy is, and also the altitude. Well, the altitude in the Netherlands is most of the time 0 or 0 or something like that, because I think I'm the highest point in the Netherlands right now on this stage. You can also do something more interesting, is watch position. So if you have a website that's running on a phone, for instance, you can detect every now and then if the position the device is in has met the target. If you would go to Google Maps and enter this latitude and longitude, you would arrive at my home. So I could use it to see, am I home yet? Let's do a little example, see how well it works. And this is one of the good things about this API, is that the user has to give permission. So it asks me, is it allowed to use my position? So I say, fine. And then it will try to get where we are, and it does. It gives me a latitude and longitude. Also the accuracy is about 51 meters, so it's 149 meters more secure or more appropriate than IP addresses, like we saw in the last talk. And the altitude, as I said, is 0, because we're a flat country, right? But this is not that interesting, having locations. It gets much nicer if you can plot that on a map. And Google Maps in this case did make it very easy for you. You define a div with an ID map, and then you run some JavaScript. You will ask for the current position, and then you can plot it on that div. And I give some extra parameters here saying, well, put the current position in the center, give me a satellite map, and zoom into 17. So if everything's go well, we are in the church, right? That seems to be right. That's cool. Great venue, by the way. Kudos to the organizers. All right, let's move on to some less known ones. Let's go to Thor. Thor is a god of thunder and lightning. So, which API would you think about Thor? Well, of course, the battery. The battery status API. You can get information of the battery of your device in the browser. But you can see on the lower right side that it's not that well supported, unfortunately. But still, you can make use of it. It will give you the charge level, the expected amount of time for charging and discharging. Sorry. It also gives you events where you can hook into if something changes. And you could use it to turn off energy inefficient operations. For instance, don't have that full-blown animation on a mobile device when the battery is down to, say, 20%. Just show a picture, for instance. Because it's not that well supported, you have to check whether it's available or not. And that's easy to do with if navigator.getBattery. And if it's available, you can access it, and you will get a promise back with the battery object. And there are several things you can ask. Is it charging or not? What is the charging time? What is the discharging time if it's not charging? And what's the battery level at that point? And as I mentioned, there are events you can hook into. As you can see, I already plugged in and plugged out a little bit. My battery level is now at 65%, and it's discharging. If I put in my power here, it will say it changed to charging, but it's still 65%, of course. So in this case, you could make sure you give the user the proper stuff and not draining his battery unnecessary. Our friend Captain America isn't just a handsome, strong dude. He also has perfect memory. So what makes sense? The device memory API. It will provide information about your device memory. Again, if you have maybe a low-end Android phone with not that much memory, you can act on that. Make sure don't use heavy animations or big bloated images or whatever. It will return the amount of device memory in gigabytes. Unfortunately, it will give you the installed amount of memory, not the available. So if the device is already running 10 tabs in Chrome, Google Chrome, then probably it can still say you have 4 gigabytes, but there's already a lot of use there. And the maximum it will display is 8. My MacBook has 16, so you'll see later on it won't detect that. Because of the not that widespread support, you will have to check again. And if we do that on my devices, it's at least 8 gigabytes because it doesn't know whether it's more or not. Black Canary, she can hurt you very, very much with her canary cry. She could kill you eventually. So, we go to the Web Audio API. And if you have a hangover from last night, I have to apologize. It's going to be worse. First of all, one of the things with Web Audio API is that we got this in about 2011, 2012, HTML5 audio. In this case, you only have to define audio, and I said do a property controls to have that nice player there, and you feed it a file. I'm sorry, I usually have nice music because I try to get music from the city or the country I am. So I was in Stockholm, I had ABBA. I was in Nijmegen a few weeks ago. I had Van Halen because the brothers Van Halen were originally from Nijmegen. And Enschede gave you this. That's enough, right? Thomas Berge. Anybody a fan? Good. I'm sorry, but it's Enschede, I'm sorry. So, next to just playing audio, you can also generate audio, and that's when it gets fun. First of all, you create an audio context, and then you have to create an oscillator to generate a certain tone. And after that, you can set the frequency and the type to get the right sound you want to use. You have to connect that, and then you can start it. You might want to stop it too, because if you start it, it will run infinite. So on the last line, I said, well, just let it hear for 2 seconds, and then we're done with it. This is it all together, a few lines of code to get some audio. And the first one, the low one, has a frequency value of 100 hertz. So, sorry for this. Any headaches already? Let's go something higher. Yeah. You could make musical instruments with this. I'm not that, I'm musical, but I cannot create stuff like that. But you can make a piano, for instance. But I have a last one, the super high one, and if you hear that one, I encourage you to listen very closely, because the organizer said to me that the next, you get a free ticket to the next StripeCon, also including hotel and travel, right, Carl? Yes, right? So, if you hear it, be the first one to raise your hand. No one wants to win? Okay, yes. I was joking. There is a sound, but we cannot hear it because it was on 40 kilohertz, and that's, if we had dogs here or bats in the ceiling, they would hear it, but we can only hear until 20 kilohertz. So I could make that offer because I knew nobody would hear it. Another thing is that you can record audio, and you've seen that message already there on top, is that if I want to record audio, you still, again, have to give permission, and that's a good thing. Because otherwise someone just could put on your microphone and listen to everything you're saying. Right, Facebook? So, if I give it permission, you'll already see my voice there. So I can say record something. It's good to be in Enschede with all these lovely people. If I stop it, I get a notification, so how do you want to save it in the browser at this point? It's not saved locally, but you can create something for that or send it to an API. So if I run this, I hear myself again. It's good to be in Enschede with all these lovely people. That's church acoustics, right? But you can use it for, say, making memory notes. Another thing is, you can listen to music, not only showing the graph bar, but listen to the different kinds of frequencies in the music. And again, I have to apologize, because with Thomas Berge, that was the best Enschede had to offer. So I went for something different, something Dutch that's real known around the world. And if you went to a wedding, you probably know it. And you can dance if you want to. Okay, it ends. I was expecting to have a party with you guys, but it's probably too early in the morning still. But what we did here is that using get user media and listening to audio, setting audio to true, you get a stream of information, a stream of audio. And after that, you can do something with that stream. In this case, with some fancy stuff, I didn't wrote because I'm not smart enough for that. It will pick out the frequencies and make that bar. And if we're talking about get user media, let's move on to the next one. Our friend Superman, he also has good vision, right? So let's go to the Media Capture and Streams API, or simply said, Stream API. As I said, you can record audio, but also video with it. But one of the things also what was introduced in 2011-12 was the video element. So it's very easy to show a movie or some commercial or something on your website using only a few lines of code. One thing though, I did it for a client a few years ago, and within 2 days he went through all his available bandwidth for the month. So if you have heavy stuff, maybe you should put it on YouTube and let them deal with the consumption of the bandwidth. But for maybe internal sites, it's very easy to use and very useful. So I took a little part of it, or a little clip that I want to show you.
Eyes, lungs, pancreas, so many snacks, so little time.
I'm looking forward to that one next week. Another one in the Marvel collection, very good. But that's just playing a video. What you also can do is record, or first of all display video from your camera. Could be your laptop camera, or I have an external camera here, which you can do with this. We again use that get user media. I now realize I have an if statement there, whether to check if it's supported or not, but you see in the right the right bottom that it's supported everywhere. So you might not need to use that if statement. But what we do is we ask for the stream of video. So if I go to this one and I press start, you will see that the camera is rolling there. I should have gotten a question whether I would share my video, but I did it just before I started this talk, so I didn't get this the second time. And with this camera, let's turn it a little bit. I have a friend here in Enschede called Anneke. She is the chairwoman of the Frontiers organization, for front-end development, who also organize a very good conference every year. And I thought it would be nice to send her a picture of you guys and girls saying hi to her. So I only have this portion because I don't have a fisheye, unfortunately, but can you please wave to her or maybe shout or whatever, make her feel home in her hometown? And that's the screenshot I can take. On the left-hand side, you see the video. On the right-hand side is an element called Canvas, and you can make a screenshot of the video and put it there. So, but I can also copy this image. And by the way, I put a little something under there. Is it readable? Greetings from StripeConf EU 2018. So if I go to my Twitter and put that image there, I tweeted to her and everybody watching the StripeConf hashtag. There it goes. So please retweet it, like it, and give Anneke a hi. But there's also something else you can do with video, for instance, is face recognition. So a very smart guy, Peter Bankston of Mozilla, back in the day, wrote a very nice JavaScript library that could detect your face, and you can act on that. So I made a little example of that too. And I have to get rid of this camera because I want to use my laptop camera. And there you see my face. Not a pretty sight, I know, sorry. But the thing is, I really, on the right side, I feel the image. If I go back, and at my age, my eyes are getting worse, so the more I go away, I made sure that the size of the font would grow. And if I go back, I really know this is really not good for you, this view, but it's demo, right? So you can do stuff with that. What it tries to do is to calculate the distance from your face until the camera. And it does that by figuring out how much of the screen is filled by your face in this case. And it's pretty accurate. Okay, enough of my face. This is my happy face. This is the Hulk, and you know the Hulk, one thing he is he's big and heavy, right? He can really shake the ground, and what can also shake is the vibration API. It is supported, and mainly on Chrome and Firefox because they were developing their own operating systems like Chrome OS, that's still around there, and Firefox OS for phones. I still have one of those phones at home, but it's useless, unfortunately. It was a nice concept to have more operating systems. So they needed something to vibrate the phone. So the vibration API came to life. It's easy to use. You check whether it's available or not. And if you give just one number, it will vibrate for that duration. Or you can pass an array going on, off, etc. My laptop doesn't vibrate. It doesn't have the capabilities of that. An Android phone would, but it would be very weird to get my Android phone here and pass it around until everybody has felt how it works. So I decided a few months ago to make a video in a hotel room, and I put it on the edge of a sink. And the effect is, and now you hear it well, it starts to vibrate and then it slides into there because it keeps on moving. Is this useful? Could be. Maybe to have some user interaction if something is wrong on the page. If you enter save, for instance, you can vibrate and say, well, not all fields are filled yet. But I came in touch with well-known Dutch company Coolblue. which sells a lot of nice electronics, and they're a little quirky, a little fun. If you look at bestsellers, they have a tagline saying, hey, show-offs. You know, eye catches on the bottom, wink, wink. No, they like fun. Also, if you get your order at home in a box, they give out prizes if you create something nice of it. But they did something different. For instance, they don't sell sex toys, for instance. But what did they do? If you search for it, the page starts to vibrate. This is a CSS animation. This is the fun they like to do. So I contacted a friend there and said, well, there's a vibration API. Why don't you also include that for Android devices if they search for it? And they said, yeah, good idea. We try it out. But unfortunately, because there was a lot of misuse of the vibration API in the past, it's now mandatory to have a user interaction. So they could not do load this page and also vibrate. You have to hit a button or something, and they didn't want to include it in the whole search area. So that's a shame, but it was still fun to work with those guys. They have great humor about that. Okay. The next one, the invisible woman of the Fantastic Four. Well, page visibility API. The browser can detect whether a document or the tab is visible at that time in the browser or not, and you can act on that. It's well supported, as you can see, and it's very easy to say, well, is it hidden or not? That's actually what you do. And there are also events you can listen to, whether it's changing or not, and then that's the most important one. You can act on that. So I have a little example from the Fantastic Four movie, way back. And it says now it's visible.
Now back off.
Susan, let's not fight.
No, let's.
Susan, fire!
And she's gone.
Marco Polo.
Wait, what? Marco Polo? What's that? Is that some kind of game? Do you know it? Marco Polo. Okay, the player who is it shouts Marco and the other players must respond with shouting Polo. Okay, he did it wrong because he shouted Marco and Polo, right? She should have said Polo, but did you also see what happened when I switched tabs?
Mark?
The video stopped. And when I switched back, it started again. So it's nice if you have those beautiful full screen videos in the background of your website. Make sure that if somebody goes away from your website or opens another tab or something, stop that video because it will drain battery again. And you will, and probably annoy users if you have audio in it also. Okay. Move on to the next one. The Flash is fast. Are we online or offline? The thing is, you can use this maybe if somebody wants to submit a form, for instance, check whether they are online or offline. Unfortunately, it means connected to a network and not connected to the internet. So you can use it a little bit, but you're not really sure. It's also easy to get the information, navigate it online, and listen to changes. In my case, I'm online, and hopefully I'll get back soon. It changed to offline. And please let the internet come back. And I'm online again. Whew. That's as far as I go with live demos. No live coding for me. But also we have something, oh, that's one too far, is network information. So to check how fast is the connection people have. As you can see, this is less supported, but still you can use it. So you can check for the connection effective type. Is it on slow 2G? Is it on 3G or 4G? And also act on that. It's already changed here. It's 11:15, yeah. So I was on 4G, and probably a bird flew over and connection went down a little bit, so I'm now at 3G, but still enough. I was in the train, by the way, from Utrecht to here, and I went through the Veluwe, say nature park there. Very nice surroundings, but reception is really worse there. There's also something called connection type, and you can use that to see whether some people are using Bluetooth or cellular or whatever. And WiMAX, if you don't know what WiMAX is, it's used mainly on big events. They have security cameras there. It's very high efficient Wi-Fi. Very nice to use, but it's only supported on Android in these browsers. So it's not well supported, but you can still use it as progressive enhancement. Just pick the pieces of APIs you can use and let people benefit from it. Okay. Next one, my friend Groot. And Groot is good at? No one? Talking, right?
I am Groot.
So the speech synthesis API, I love that word, synthesis. What you actually can do is you can set text to speech and set the voice, the rate and the pitch to create this. So for Groot I did this. I instantiate a synth and get some voices for that. And I say, well, I want to say I am Groot, and I need to create a speech synthesis utterance. Tried that saying last night, probably. And with that, I can choose a voice I want to use. In this case, I chose the Google UK English Mail. I set a pitch at 1.4 and a rate 0.6. That's you have to try a little bit on how the voice you want to sound it. And then I said, well, speak, please. Also live demo, what we can do is, this is a Xander from the Netherlands. And I can say, hallo Enschede, leuk hier.
Hallo Enschede, leuk hier.
He's a bit fast, but if I would do this in, say, with Daniel.
Hallo Enschede, leuk hier.
He doesn't really know what to say, right? So it would be
Hi Stripe Conan Enschede, good to be here.
okay, and Enschede is difficult, true. But if you would ask him to say this early in the morning, it would probably sound something like this.
Hi Stripe Conan Enschede, good to be here.
That's that's worse, right? So you can play around with it, and the fun fact is you have a lot of different languages and people in your browser already, and you can, if you're using Chrome, you get the Google Chrome, for the Google ones also extra. Wolverine. He's very strong, but he also has very good hearing. So the speech recognition API. what it says, it will convert speech input into text. You instantiate the speech recognition, and in this case, I said you can set continuous, so it will keep on listening to what you're saying. Interim results mean shall he interpret every word and put it there already, or should he wait until a sentence is done? And you can set the language to listen to. You start, you stop, and then you have the result you can use on your website. So this is an example. I'm listening to UK English now, so it should probably recognize me. Close enough, right? But if I would do this in, well, let's talk Dutch to this. Laat ik eens iets in het Nederlands zeggen. Waarschijnlijk wordt het heel erg raar vertaald. So. If you don't understand Dutch, you probably do know that I didn't say this. Thank you. So, you can use this for text speech interface, for instance. I have a few minutes left, so next one, I'm pretty good on time, is Doctor Strange, and he has magic as ability, right? What's also magic to me is Web Bluetooth. Web Bluetooth enables you to connect to a Bluetooth device from your browser. And what you do is that you have to request for a device. If you do this like this, you will get a pop-up showing all Bluetooth devices in the near area. I had a friend doing this at a talk with, I think, 300 people, and every phone has Bluetooth, right? So his browser just crashed. So what you do is you have to listen to something specific if you want to know what you want to use. And I know what I want to use. That's water. I want to use my friend, the robot MIP. So, stay. I listen to MIP. You have to connect to that server, listen to specific services of that device. It takes a while to figure out which one you have to use, but some are well documented. Get a specific characteristic, and then if you have it, then you can do stuff with it, like sending a command. You cannot send things like do this, you have to send bytes, so you need some JavaScript in this case to generate that value you want to write to that device. So let's try this out. Put him on. Yeah. And I hit this button, and you'll see it will search for only this device. And also have to give permission to connect to it. Let's wait a little. Yes, it's connected. I'm going to put it on the stage here. I'm sorry if you're on the back, maybe you could stand up a little if you want to see it. Let me see if he wants to stay there. Stay. I did this on a table once, and that was not a good idea. So I can, with the arrows in my screen, I can make him turn, go back, turn again, make sound. Random, so I don't know what he's going to say. But you know what's more fun? That you control it. So please get on your Twitter, and I will hook it up to Twitter now. Ah, somebody already did. So if you send to browser API, oh my God, you're killing me. Back, please, back. You can send commands. If you're lazy, yeah, thank you. If you're lazy, you just do the first letter, F, B, L, S, or R works also. But you can have a lot of fun with this kind of stuff. You can also control a light bulb, for instance, or stuff like that. But more seriously, for instance, heart rate monitors. You can hook a heart rate monitor onto the browser, maybe to give information to your physician, or glucose meters. So this is a lot of fun. You're really interacting with it. Good. Shall I keep it on? I'll keep it on. I'll open a new tab for the last part, and I'm. Oh, don't do that. Come on. Okay, let's go to the last one. Wonder Woman. And Wonder Woman is a real Wonder Woman because it can do a lot of stuff. So that's my little recap of APIs that are available also, and very interesting. For instance, you have the notifications API that everybody loves, right? In the right top corner saying, yay, there is a message for you. There are websites, if you come there, they say, we want to send you notifications. You always say yes, right? Immediately, because you want those notifications. Home screen installation and server workers. That's about progressive web apps. If you heard of that, it's really meant to use there. Screen orientation, device orientation. So if it's portrait or landscape, or is it tilted a lit, you can do stuff with that too. The Web USB API, hook up USB devices to your laptop and browser, for instance. File API, that's what we used at Nationale-Nederlanden. You can upload, for instance, a CSV file or an XML file or a JSON file, whatever, in your browser, and don't send it to the server, but use some JavaScript to interact with it. It's very cool. And the Gamepad API, and I have to wrap up, but I'm going to be a little rebellious because I want to show you that one too. Yes, I'm that old. This is one of my favorite games back in the day. And you can play it on your laptop with the arrow keys, but that's not nice, right? Let's pause it and take one of the old school gamepads. And oh no, demo's going wrong. Yeah. One more try. Well, that's more or less the same it went when I used the joystick back in the day, because I wasn't that good at it, but unfortunately it didn't work. It should work. I can show you later on. I tried it just an hour ago. So wrapping up, there is a lot of stuff. You can go to browserapis.nl to see everything, and I should say follow the instructions of that tool there, and dankjewel Enschede.